Hey everybody, welcome back. This is my episode 3 of Ahsoka review. Gonna be full on spoilers here because this is more of a discussion review rather than a non-spoiler. Hey, this is my first opinion. This is me going into the episode, what I'm thinking about the episode, and maybe pointing out some stuff that maybe you guys don't already know, and give it more context and give it more of a, inside look of someone who really kind of follows the lore pretty heavily. So this episode was actually much slower than the first 2 episodes. Not a whole lot in order to move the plot forward happened in this episode, but I think that enough happened in this episode that we can give context into what it could mean moving forward. So the episode pretty much starts off where we have Sabine doing some kind of like training with the droid, and then Ahsoka comes in and tries to kind of train her even more, and that was pretty much the whole crux of the episode, was really just training. And then we get to a part toward the end where Sabine and Ahsoka has to, dogfight their way out of this dark Jedi's apprentice and that Inquisitor. So that was pretty much the overarching theme. It was a much shorter episode than the previous 2 as well. But like I said, I think there's some things going on in this episode that I really want to hit on. And the most important thing is the whole New Republic not wanting to get involved. This isn't something new. If you are someone who reads the novels, the canon novels, not the non-canon legend stuff, but the newer canon novels, we see that the New Republic doesn't want to get involved in certain situations. This is actually what leads to the downfall of the New Republic when the First Order comes. If you read Bloodline, Leia tries to warn the New Republic, tries to warn the Senate, like, hey, the First Order's out here. This is really bad news. The New Republic doesn't want anything to do with it. They don't want to start a new war. They don't want to go back to the Clone Wars. They don't want to go back to the Galactic Civil War. So in order to prevent that, they basically turn a blind eye to it, which was eventually their downfall when the First Order took over and destroyed the Hosnian Prime system, which was in turn the Senate, because that was where the New Republic was, in the Hosnian Prime system at that particular time. So we're starting to see seeds of that, where Mon Mothma really doesn't have that much power, because even though she is the Chancellor, everything has to go through a vote. And that was also brought up again in the Chuck Wendig Aftermath trilogy, Empire's End. This is when the Battle of Jakku happened. And we were trying, like, the New Republic was trying to get, Mon Mothma and a few others were trying to get the New Republic to go fight the Empire on Jakku. And Mon Mothma kept getting blocked by the Senate, and they would not vote to go through. Eventually they did, and I think a couple rogue, heroes and whatnot, like the Millennium Falcon, Han, everybody was at the Battle of Jakku. But you could see where they were planting seeds into this series, to where the New Republic doesn't agree with what's going on. They're shutting Hera down. They do not want to send any troops to try to support Ahsoka and Sabine. They do not believe in the threat of Thrawn. They believe Thrawn is dead. They believe Ezra is dead. And they believe that Hera is basically just making up wild goose chases in order to try to go and save their friend Ezra. And that's pretty much the extent of it. And you see where Mon Mothma's hands are mostly tied, and she really has no actual power, because after everything that happened with Palpatine, they're not going to let another Chancellor go in and basically create another empire, so to speak. So I thought that was the most interesting part of this episode, was the fact that we see Hera trying to plead with the New Republic, and the New Republic is just being stubborn and turns their blind eye to Hera and the real threat that is Thrawn out there. And I think that ties real well into what we know of the new canon. The fact that when Mon Mothma did take office as Chancellor, one of her first acts of being Chancellor in the Chuck Wendig Aftermath trilogy is the fact that she demilitarized the entire New Republic. So there's only like maybe 10% of the military left in the Republic, because they didn't want another Empire, Clone Wars, and Civil War thing happen. So like once the war was over, after Return of the Jedi and after the battle, well actually yeah, after the Battle of Endor and all that stuff, that was when Mon Mothma said, hey, we're going to pass an act to demilitarize, and I keep saying that word wrong, and I do apologize, but to basically take away all the X-Wings and everything that we built during the Civil War to fight the Empire, all that's going to go bye-bye. We're going to keep like maybe 10 or 5% of that just in case. And we see how easy the First Order was able to come in and completely take over the New Republic, destroy the Hosnian Prime system. That was what led Leia to create the Resistance. It was basically an underground rebellion, sort of like what they did against the Empire, but this was a underground military just in case something would happen. Mon Mothma would not have any, hands in it or whatnot. This was Leia's thing, and that also led into, well, the whole thing with Leia getting kicked out of the Senate is what led into the Resistance. So everything is tying up nice and neat when we're getting to the politics of the show. So I thought that was very interesting. I like that aspect. We get into Ahsoka training Sabine. She's doing some things like put the blindfold on and put the helmet on, and she's testing her out a little bit. And I like that as well. The biggest thing going in, and a lot of people are going to be upset about this, is Sabine is not Force sensitive. So why is she training like a Jedi? We never got a hint of Sabine being Force sensitive in any of the previous Rebel shows, episodes, none of that. We never got a hint of Sabine being Force sensitive. We did get Kanan training her with the Darksaber, but that was for her to basically wield the Darksaber to reunite the Mandalorian people. So I don't understand why she's training as a Jedi. There is a line in this episode where it is, Ahsoka saying, hey, the Force lives in all things. Everything has the Force, just not everybody can use it, but you can learn to use it, which I think might be something that maybe George was talking about at some point, that it isn't just about, your genes and who you're related to, that anybody can use the Force. So I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, I'm like, okay, well, that everybody can play football. Some people can play football better than others, depending on how much you work at it, how much you train. That's one thing. The Force does live in all things, whether it be the trees, the air, it's all around us, inside us. Some people can use it or whatnot. Maybe she's not Force sensitive, but at the same time, then why were the Jedi going around looking for Force sensitive babies to take and train and look for? Like, they don't want to mention Mandalorians, but Mandalorian counts was a huge thing back then. Maybe the only thing I can think of is that the Jedi went around grabbing the ones that were showing Force abilities right away. Like, they were in tune with the Force right away. The gifted people, right? Like, the gifted people. We all been to school. And we all been to school where we had that one guy and he was fucking crazy in math, and we're all in 6th grade and we barely do our math, and this dude is on like college level math, right? He is gifted. So maybe the same thing with the Jedi is that we can all do the math, but Ahsoka, she's gifted in math. Like, that's why she was taken by the Jedi Order, because she was super gifted at math. They showed that she was gifted in math early on, and that's why they wanted to help train her. Meanwhile, I'm slow as hell. Maybe I need 3 or 4 years to figure out what 5 plus 5 is. So I think that's basically my analogy and what I'm taking about it, that anybody can use the Force, but you have to be able to train. And it kind of gets into a martial arts thing with it, where depending on how much you train and you want to like go with the Bruce Lee style and you meditate and you do all that, like, everybody can do ninjutsu, but you have to train, you have to work at it. Sabine might be, maybe, I don't know if she showed signs of using the Force at all, but I find it interesting how Ahsoka decided to pick Sabine as a Padawan. We know she wielded the Darksaber. We know she has Ezra's lightsaber. We know that she is a strong fighter, and maybe that gives candidate to, okay, maybe she can be the one that can really have Ahsoka's back and move forward. Where you look at someone like Grogu, who's extremely gifted, going to the Jedi Academy with Luke. Luke would never take someone like Sabine because Sabine is not showing any flashes of the pan. You know, Sabine is like me, the dumb kid in school that just wants to draw all day. Meanwhile, Kevin over there is doing calculus. That's sort of the thing. Luke is looking for the calculus students right off the bat, where Ahsoka is like, okay, Rob, I know you're dumb as hell, but you're gonna do calculus. You know, I'm gonna teach you. That's the way I take it. So I don't think people need to like go off the bat and go, oh my God, you know, they're ruining the Jedi, whatnot, because Yoda even said, you know, the Force is all around us. Even Obi-Wan has said the Force is all around us. So by them doing that, it's kind of saying, look, people can be a Jedi. You have to work hard at it. Not every Jedi is created equal. Not everybody is going to be Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace effing Windu. You know, not everybody is going to be at that level. But if you work at it hard enough, you can learn the basics. If I work at it hard enough, maybe I can learn the basics of calculus. And I think that is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be in an uproar about. But I think if you break it down to the absolute simple principle of what the Force is, George Lucas's philosophy of the Force, and I think you'll be able to realize, okay, this might actually work. This is probably a real smart way to look at the Force in a different perspective. And I think it works. I like Sabine. I've always liked Sabine Wren. You know, she was one of my favorite characters in Rebels, and I'm glad that she's getting more time to shine. Another thing that happened toward the end of this episode was the dogfight between the Dark Jedi's apprentice. I still don't know the names of these guys. Okay. I do apologize. Ray Stevenson's character, his apprentice, they were hunting down Sabine and trying to stop them from basically moving forward to try to stop their plot to bring back Thrawn. And I'm not a big space dogfight person. I thought it was an okay scene. We have the scene, Sabine and Ahsoka, they start to work together. I think that's what the whole scene is. Ahsoka, you need to trust me. And then Sabine, like they begin to trust each other. And then you see the dog fighting and they succeed. They get into a bad accident and they have to crash land on this planet. And the episode ends with Ray Stevenson's character saying, okay, we're going to find her and we're going to kill her. And that's the way the episode ends. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Like I said, not a biggest episode compared to the previous two, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. We did get hints of Jason Sandula. We got to see Jason Sandula. A lot of people who don't know, Jason Sandula is the son of Hera Sandula and Kanan. And Kanan helped train Sabine. Kanan also trained Ezra. He is a Jedi, Caleb Dune from Rebels. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. This episode might not look like a lot on the surface, but when you start digging deep into all the stuff like the meaning of the Force, what it means to be a Jedi, what's going on with the New Republic politics, like how it starts to show the cracks in the armor of how the First Order could come back. It really breaks down every little nitty gritty on what's going on in the universe at this time. It wasn't like Return of the Jedi just ended, and just because we're at a party with Ewok, that everything in the universe is hunky-dory, because that's not the fact. We've seen where Mandalorian did not like the New Republic and caused the New Republic a joke, because we're starting to see where the New Republic doesn't take certain threats serious. And that is stuff that is hinted in the novel's Bloodline, and like I said, Empire's End in the Aftermath trilogy. That is a lot of stuff that's going on in the galaxy at this time. So I thought it was fantastic that Hera is trying to battle the politics. We have Ahsoka trying to get out of her comfort zone, train Sabine, not go down the same path that Anakin went down with her, and Obi-Wan went with Anakin and all that stuff, trying a different way, not always about using the Force, but getting the basics down. And like I said, anybody can use it, just Kevin's better at calculus than I am. We got to see Jason Sandula, which I really enjoyed. I hope we get to see more, because he talked about he wanted to be a Jedi. I'm hoping that at some point Ahsoka either trains him, maybe Ahsoka goes and does her own little Jedi Academy, or maybe she brings him to Luke's Jedi Academy. We know he's going to be Force sensitive because Kanan was a Jedi, whereas Sabine does not have any family heritage that are Jedi. The Force doesn't come easy to her, right? Like my dad was able to draw very well, so I can draw easily. Like I'm really good at drawing. It comes natural to me. But if my fiance tries to draw, it's not going to come as natural to her because she wasn't born with that talent. She would have to work toward it to be able to draw. So I like the fact that the Force would probably come much easier to Jason rather than someone like Sabine who has to work for it. Also, I just kind of want to hit on this because I seen there was some kind of confusion about it. Jason is based off a previous Star Wars character, but is not Luke Skywalker's son. In the original Legends novel, basically Leia and Han had 3 kids. 2 of them were twins. That's Jason and Janna. Basically, when that became Legends, they wanted to pay tribute to that. So in Rebels, when Hera and Kanan had a kid, they named him Jason Syndulla. The kid used to be named Jason Solo. Luke did have a kid with Mara Jade, and that was Ben. So things are a little different in this universe. We see Han's kid's name was Ben, and Hera's name is Jason, but they just take liberties on all that. It doesn't really doesn't change their characters or whatnot, but I just wanted to kind of like let people know that because I noticed that my buddy Danny kind of had that like backwards when he was doing his watch party last night. But yeah, Jason and Janna were Han and Leia's kids, but they took the name Jason and used it for Hera's kid in this series and in the previous Rebels series. So overall, love the episode, love the politics going on with the episode. I like the fact that we're doing like the Karate Kid martial arts training with Sabine, and I want to see where it goes. She's not gonna, and before I go out, let me just say this. I think there's a lot of people that are very hypocritical. And what I mean by that is the biggest complaints coming out of the new trilogy was everything came easy to Rey. Rey automatically knew how to use the mind control and how to grab the lightsaber with the Force. Rey knew how to do everything and never had a day's training. Now we're finally getting to see Sabine, who knows absolutely nothing, training and working hard to master whatever it is she's gonna master. She's not gonna be on par with Luke Skywalker in like 3 episodes. She's not even gonna be as good as Ahsoka. She has no talent for the Force, but she's working hard. She's training, and I think it's very, very, very ignorant for people and hypocritical from people saying, "Oh, well, this is Star Wars just pushing another female character in our throat." Sabine was an already established character from years ago. Years ago. They're doing it the right way. They're showing that she's training. She's working hard. It isn't like Rey just popped up and started using the Force left and right. So they heard the complaints. They're fixing that, and people are still complaining, which I don't understand. Like, you can see where they're working toward that. You can see that they're training her. So they're fixing everything that was wrong with the new trilogy, and people are still complaining. It just goes to show you that some people just want to hate on everything just to hate, and they're not looking at the underlining meaning of everything. So hopefully you guys found this completely very useful. Like, I broke down everything. Hopefully you guys left the episode knowing a little bit more details on what's going on with the public, what's going on with the Force, why is Sabine training, why is Hera fighting with the Senate and the New Republic, and what's the meaning of all this stuff moving forward, and what's going to happen in the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want to see more, please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe for all future content, and I'll check you guys out next time. Have a good day. Until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.